Hello, I'm Angel and welcome to my channel. Today I'll be sharing with you how I visualize a historiography and how that helps me to identify when I'm reading one. So let's get to it. I'd say that in the history of history, the definition of historiography has helped precisely 12 people. Here's how I understand historiography. It's a timeline of how historians have perceived an event in the past and how that understanding has changed. So we have the initial event that is cataloged by contemporary historians. Then we have later historians. And then we have modern historians. Of course, there can be a lot more dots on the timeline. This just gives you a basic understanding of how I visualize historiography. Now you might be thinking, if that's all that it is, why is it so difficult to find in a text? And the only answer I have for you is readability. No one wants to read, first there was this idea, and then there was this idea, and then another idea, and now there is this idea. History already has a horrible reputation for being boring. Honestly, how many lines in the definition of historiography did you actually read before you had to skip it because you knew you were going to fall asleep? For that reason, most historians try to make reading their books more interesting. In part, that means blending the history into the narrative as smoothly as possible. There are some key words that I look for that tip me off that I'm reading the historiography. I look for words like experts, and the more precise words such as economists, archaeologists, politicians, and the like. Historians, sometimes paired with modifiers like contemporary and modern. Names that don't match the subject matter, such as if I'm reading about trade between European Americans and American Indians and I see the name Frederick Jackson Turner for the first time, that indicates to me that I need to pause, look for the footnotes, go there and see that name, because that'll tell me who that person is, and most likely it was a historian. Dates that are later than events, sometimes used to indicate a publication date and root the reader in the historiography's timeline. And then, of course, historiography. Very rarely do authors use the actual word, but I have come across it. I look for these words in the preface and keep the names and dates in mind while reading the text. Writers are cognizant of word echoes, so they are going to be using varied vocabulary. Therefore, I try to stay actively engaged in the text and think about not just single word synonyms, but ways to recast entire phrases. I have a link to a video up here of my friend Elizabeth and I sharing strategies on how we write our historiographies. If you found this video helpful, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. That tells the YouTube algorithm to push it out to people watching similar content. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.